Welcome everyone to the Saturday session. We should wait for a few minutes.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Arjun.
Hi. Yeah. So we are everyone is so excited for today's session. Welcome to the join as our speaker, Damjan.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So as we can start our today's session, I give you short introduction to our developer club. So in the first year, we just started with 5 people, our Apple developer club, and now we have a 2500 plus member to our meetup group. We schedule for every month at least one session, and yeah. So we are offline organized at MobileFirst office. Yep. Yeah. Next. Yeah. So today is in-depth development secret our session by Damjan from Munich, Germany, and he will give us more insight on Indeed app development. So welcome to our app developer club, and thank you in advance for sharing the insight in Indie app development. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start your today's session.
Thank you. Let me share my screen just a second. Send request. Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay, great. Just a second. Good. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Dabo, and I'm super happy to get a chance to share with you today the things I've learned as an indie developer. This is my first ever talk on any meetup, so please be nice to me. Drop any questions in the comments and we will go through them at the end of presentation. So if you have any questions during the presentations, just drop them in the comments. Okay. So a little bit about me. I'm born and raised in Zagreb, Croatia. In 2017, I started working in a digital agency called Infinum. For most of the time, I worked on Philips Nutrio project. It's a recipes app for air fryers and blenders. For a short time, I also worked on Porsche Group Card Slovenia project. It's a loyalty app for Porsche Group dealerships. I moved to Munich in spring 2020. There I got a job at healthcare startup called the Astros as a Flutter developer. But I missed working with Swift, so just after a few months, I moved to a consultancy called Pixida for iOS development job. There I worked on BMW Motorrad Connected app. It connects you to your BMW motorcycle, reads telemetry data, and tracks your rides, including GPS data, speed, and link angles. And then in spring 2022, I quit my job, something I would not recommend doing to most people, especially if you're just starting out and starting from zero and you don't earn anything from your apps yet. It was super stressful and super weird not to earn salary anymore. I released my first app item list after around 6 months of development 2 years ago in November 2022. It's a home and small business inventory app. Its main use is tracking your belongings and finding items quickly. When I launched the app, it was called Golden Squirrel and it had a cute squirrel on app icon, but it was not that relevant. People thought it was a game and not an inventory app. So I rebranded it in August 2023. After rebranding, the revenue started coming in. You can see the rebranding on the graph when it happened. And afterwards, there was Black Friday in 2023. It was a huge spike. Afterwards, revenue was continuing to climb slowly. In spring, there was a minor spike, probably because of spring holidays. And in summer, the revenue spiked significantly after Americans went to their holidays because they have limited holidays and they organize their homes when they're on holidays. And then in October, the revenue went back because I introduced localization. So I translated the app to more than 20 languages. And this year, Black Friday was really successful. So you can see the revenue in November and also in December. So this month, it's already this month, today, I think above 1K. So recently I started working on my second app, Herba, a plant growth journal app. Enough about me. Let's talk about why you should start making your own apps. That's why you came here today. First reason is to play with new technologies. Every year during WWDC, Apple announces some new technologies that only come with the latest iOS version. At your full-time job, you often don't get a chance to work with them for years. But if you work on your own app, you can use whatever technology you want. This way, you can have fun and stay competitive on your job by learning new stuff in advance. Second reason is to bring back enthusiasm for your profession. On your full-time job, you often need to work on boring stuff, but with your side projects, you can work on whatever excites you, and you can get back that enthusiasm you had for your profession when you were just starting out. Third reason is to earn extra money. If you only earn a few $100s per month from your apps, it's enough to pay for your vacations or your more expensive hobbies.
ठीक है सदा भाई, ठीक है, मैं देखता हूँ।
Okay. Think
Okay.
enough. Sorry? Okay, let's continue. Um, and if you need to earn some extra cash fast for a new car, for example, or down payment for flat, you can easily sell your app for total yearly revenue times 3. So 3 is like a normal multiplier, like an average. For example, if you have $500 monthly revenue, you can sell your app for 500 times 12 months times 3 years, equaling $18K, which is not that bad. Yeah, so you should start as early as possible. That's what I always tell people. One reason is to learn about the market. You learn about the App Store, what kind of apps people search for, what kind of apps succeed, how to rank higher on App Store search with ASO or App Store optimization, etc. You should also learn from other indie devs on social media. To make the best out of social media, you should create accounts on X, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky. Follow other indie developers. You can find them by using the search function. You can also check people who they follow or who follow them to find other people you can follow. Interact with other developers, comment on their posts, support them, and become part of the community. You can also start conversations by sending direct messages. Take advantage of social media to build your online presence. You will also increase your reach this way. It's super useful if you're an indie dev with not that much marketing budget. You will get more eyeballs on your product, which leads to more downloads and sales. You'll get support from the community, and you will never feel alone. You will get new opportunities you don't expect, like I got an opportunity to talk with you today. Use a tool like Typefully to cross-post and schedule posts. It will save you a bunch of time and make posting more enjoyable. Typefully also has some AI writing functions, helping you avoid grammar mistakes and write better posts. The best way to build your online presence as an indie developer is to build in public. You can share what you're working on to get valuable feedback and build excitement for your product even before you launch it. Oops, sorry. You will get test flight beta testers helping you improve your app. And building in public is also a way to validate your idea. If when you post about your next step sparks a lot of engagement and excitement from people, it's one way of knowing people are interested in trying it out to see what you are building. And if it does not happen at all, maybe it's also a sign that maybe there is not that much excitement for what you're building. After launch, you can also share your revenue data in public. It gives more context related to what you're doing to others and inspires others to follow you and learn from you. Do you remember the backlash Marquez got for his wallpaper app? Well, there are tons of scammy apps out there, but their makers are usually anonymous. And because Marquez is a public person, he needed to adjust, to listen to people's feedback and to improve upon it. Customers and the world benefits from it, so everyone benefits from building public. Building in public puts your face behind your app, making you more motivated to build the best possible product because it represents you. Customers also feel safer when they see the creator taking pride in their work. It's much more harder to scam people when you are visible. I know what you are thinking about right now. What if someone steals my idea? Don't be afraid of copycats. Benefits of building in public by far surpass the drawback of someone copying you. People will start to copy you only after you become successful, and by then you're miles ahead of them in terms of competition. Just ask this guy if his business is suffering from building in public. There is also a networking effect. By being active on social media, you will meet new people, and it will become easier to you to talk with strangers and to make new friends. Now that you feel more motivated to start, how do you start? Let's explore how you can generate app ideas. It's one of the questions people most often ask me. They don't know how to start, and first problem they face is how to get app idea. So I recommend learning how to do ASO keyword research. You can find many free tutorials online. So if someone doesn't know what ASO keywords are, basically those are words that people type in App Store search bar to find your app. So if you find keywords that people often search for, then you can find what people are searching for, and that way you can get more downloads. It's basically the main way the developers get downloads via App Store search. And for ASO keyword research, you can find many free tutorials online. I recommend finding keywords with popularity of at least 30 for a specific niche. Find successful apps that rank high for those keywords. Think about in which ways your app can be better than those apps. So there is always a room to take a chunk of the whole market. So for example, if it's super popular market, it does not matter that much, because if you only take like a small piece of the pie, you'll still get enough. And also if you find markets that are more popular, then if you build in public, there is a bigger chance that people will be interested in your app than if you find something super niche. Like for example, my app is super niche. So for my app, not that many people in the building public space are interested in. So it's a good way to get more interest from people in the tech community if you build something that is interesting to, like, in general, to more people in the world. If you have a problem that is bothering you, the chances are others face the same problem too. So for finding an ideas for your app, you can search existing apps that solve the problem you face and see if you can compete with them. You can also observe your surroundings and find common problems that people around you face. You should start building in public from the beginning. Announce your app before you even start building it. Share what you do, problems that you face. Ask the community to give you feedback. It's the best way to get early feedback, build a better product, and build excitement for your app. Create a landing page for your app with a form to collect emails. With every post you make, attach a link to the landing page so people can get notified when you release your app. This way you will get more beta testers and you will get first users even before the launch. To create a landing page and build your email list, you can use a tool with a generous free tier like Email Octopus. This is a tool I use, and when I switched from MailChimp to Email Octopus, it lowered my bill from around $150 to less than $40. So it's really good and it works really well. Next step is to start building. Build your MVP, meaning minimum viable product. It's the first version of your app that contains only necessary features needing to validate the idea. The idea behind MVP is to release your app as soon as possible, to validate your idea early and start getting feedback. With MVP, you want to focus on quality of features and not quantity. Put just those features needed so users can get things done, not anymore. To speed things up, don't reinvent the wheel. Use free or cheap software as a service to speed things up. They will give you superpowers without much effort from your side. One example is RevenueCat that helps you build and grow your subscription-based apps. Don't think if you should use a tool like RevenueCat, but think how to get the most out of it. You should monetize your app from the MVP. This way, you can start making money immediately after the launch. It's also a way to validate your idea. If it sells, you are doing something good. You can monetize by offering subscriptions, for example, weekly, monthly, and yearly. And also you can offer a lifetime option. I, for example, offer monthly, yearly, and lifetime. You can take a look how your competitors monetize their apps to get idea which monetization model to use and how much to charge. After all the hard work of developing your app, it's time to launch it. To prepare for the launch, first make a press kit. You can use a tool like ImpressKit to help you out. Email journalists to get a chance to be featured in magazines. ImpressKit has a list of contacts you can use. Contact App Store editorial team to get a chance to get featured on the App Store. Contact form is now baked into App Store Connect, so it's easy to do it. You should contact App Store and journalists a few weeks before the launch so they have time to feature you. You can also launch on product count. Nowadays, it's kind of a gamble launching there because they decide if your product gets featured, and if it's not featured, it will not rank and participate to become a product of the day. But just by asking for support from the community on social media, you build the relationships and awareness of your product. There are also alternatives to Product Hunt like Unit and Micro Launch, where you don't have a gamble of being featured. If your app requires login, you can send emails to your users and ask them for feedback. You should also include Contact Us button in your app to make it easy for users to contact you. I highly recommend you to add a features wishlist to your app. It's a great way to get features ideas from your users and to learn which features users want the most. A great tool for adding a features wishlist to your app is WishKit. It provides an iOS SDK with built-in UI. It's also connected to its own backend, and you get access to a web admin dashboard. So you can add WishKit in only a few minutes. With your app, build your app with user feedback in mind, but don't put much focus on every feature request. Your time is limited, so be very selective. So what comes next after the launch? Continue learning SO and work on it. Ratings give boost for SO. In your app, ask for ratings using native prompt. After user does an action that gives them dopamine boost, like for example finishing a task, show them the ratings prompt. For keywords research, you can take a monthly subscription for a more expensive tool that is great for it, like App Figures. And to track keyword rankings, you can take like a yearly subscription for a tool that is much cheaper like Astro. To get extra downloads and ratings, you can make a temporary campaign giving a huge discount and giving your app for free for up to a few days. With initiatives like Indie App Santa or Apps Gone Free, you will get a bunch of downloads and ratings. To get the most out of it, give lifetime for free. Show the paywall during onboarding before the login screen. So this way, if you show the paywall before the onboarding and before the login, people will have a chance to grab the deal without having any troubles of logging in. So for example, I made a huge mistake when my app was on Indie App Santa that I did not have like onboarding and paywall at the beginning. User needed to log in and some users did not receive email verification email. So they were on MSN and some other older email providers, and they did not receive the verification email, and they gave bad reviews. So you really want to avoid it. So if you go to Indie App Santa, make sure that you give them a chance to grab the deal before doing anything important or anything that can break. And after they get the deal, show them the rating prompt. So then you will get a bunch of free, bunch of ratings for free, and it will boost your ASO. Because you have user feedback, you know what to work on to keep improving your app. Improving your app leads to user satisfaction increase, which leads to better user retention. And user retention is important for App Store optimization also, but also so if you have subscriptions that keep people keep coming back and don't stop their subscriptions. To improve retention even more, take advantage of email marketing and push notifications. For example, every time I push an app update, I send an email to my users, and a bunch of users open the app to try out the new update. Black Friday season is when people are happy to spend money. It's the best time for indie developers to get free marketing and extra sales. Create a discount of at least 50% off. Lifetime discounts were great. I make like 50% lifetime discount and it works great. Run the campaign 1 week before and 1 week after the Black Friday. Post your app on as many Black Friday directories as you can find to get downloads. So you will get a link to this presentation, and in notes of this slide, there are directories, so links to directories where you can post your app next year. So create your apps until next year and post deals on Black Friday, and you're guaranteed to get downloads and purchases. Many indies have success with TikTok and Instagram Reels marketing. I don't have much experience with it yet, even though I would like to work on it more, but you can try it out yourself. Okay, let's recap. Start today, take action after this talk, become active on social media, make accounts on X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and become active on them. Start building your MVP in public and launch it as soon as possible. Thank you for your attention. I hope things you learned today will help you in your indie journey. You can find me on X, Blue Sky, and LinkedIn. Feel free to DM me afterwards if you have any additional questions. You can also follow my journey on my blog dabo.dev. So now you can scan this QR code or just take a photo or screenshot, and you will find all the links there. Also, link with the presentation file is on this QR code. So you can take a look later to the presentation and remind yourself of the things we talked about today. Okay. So now it's time for Q&A. Let me open chat. Were there any questions? Just a second. Okay. Oh, you have a friend in Croatia. Nice. Why did you decide to get into making apps? Do you mean in general or like indie developer? If you mean like indie developer, my main motivation was because I wanted to create something myself. If you are building your own apps, you are more creative and you have freedom to make whatever you want. You have much more impact in what is being built than if you work on a big project. So if you work on a big project, mostly you're like a code monkey. You just get into the code and you just write what the designer designed for you. But if you're in the developer, you have like all the freedom you need, and you can build whatever you want. So that way you can be the most creative you can. Okay. What do you mean by building app in public? I think I talked a lot about it, but let me just say that there is a difference between building in public and not. So if you build in public, you share almost everything you do. You don't need to share everything. So some things you can leave for yourself if you don't feel like you want to share them. But building in public in general means sharing like even when you are working on something, sharing what you are working on so you can get feedback on it. also sharing like your revenue and talking about how you got there and stuff like that. So people can learn from you and you basically build the relationships with the community. How do we begin effectively marketing our app? So I talked about ASO about marketing. So for ASO, it requires a lot of time because App Store algorithm takes time to rank your app. Only if your app like goes viral and you get a bunch of downloads organically from other places, like for example from social media, then the algorithm will also pick it up and rank it higher. But usually it requires some time. It requires at least half a year for App Store algorithm to take your app. So it's another thing why it's really good to start uh, as early as possible and launch your app as early as possible, because App Store algorithm requires some time to rank your app higher. And I also in the end said that you can try like TikTok marketing, and that's something I recommend to everyone, but unfortunately I did not do it by myself yet, but I should. Yeah. I believe it means that sharing openly about the process. Okay. Yes, that's true. Why did you decide to get into making apps? Okay, that question was already there. What's the maximum difficulty of a keyword you would go after? Uh, I I'm not sure, so I did not try like the maximum, but if you build in public, you can also aim for really high difficulty, because if it's high difficulty, that means that in 1,000 people that see your app, there is a bigger chunk of people there that are going to be more interested in it because it's more popular niche in general. So if you build in public, you will get a bunch of eyeballs, like thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands people will see your app, and there will be like a bunch of them who will be interested if the niche is very popular. So I would not bother that much about the difficulty. If you build in public, I would think more that the popularity is enough, because if popularity is low, then it if you also get like high rankings like in top 3 on App Store, it will not give you that much of downloads, and also in general you will have much more struggles. You will struggle much more to get downloads by posting on social media or by building in public. So I don't think difficulty is that much a problem, but the bigger problem is that the popularity is high enough. Okay, is Android development the same? So with Android development, I don't know everything how it works, but I know that App Store optimization has some smaller differences, like regarding keywords, where to put keywords and stuff like that. It's pretty much similar, but for some niches, uh, there are less people willing to pay for an app on Android than on iOS. So if you build like with Flutter and you build for iOS and Android at the same time, then it's great. If you build only for Android, sometimes it can happen that you will get less downloads, not downloads, but purchases than if you had an iOS version. And it's very rare that people who make like cross-platform apps, like with Flutter, that they have more revenue on Android than on iOS. So if you just build for iOS, you have bigger chances to get more revenue. That's why most indie developers are iOS developers, or cross platform, but usually not so many are just native Android. How long did it take you to release your MVP? It took me around 5 to 6 months. I know it's a lot, but this app is quite complicated. And at the same time, I was also learning Swift UI, so it was like also learning experience. But for my next step, I think it will take much shorter time because I already have a lot of code I can reuse and I have a lot of knowledge already. Do you think any small idea can be turned into a valuable app? Is it just a matter of good communication marketing? I mean, not every idea can be turned into successful product, because you also need to have people who are willing to pay for it. So some products are so niche that there are just not enough people in the world who are interested in it, or it's really hard to reach those people. So how do you know which person to reach, and how do you reach them? So not every idea is good regarding making money. But if you make like a very niche idea, it can be really, really useful to small amount of people, like making their lives 10 times better. So it really depends if you are all about making money, or you also want to just make an app that you are really proud of. But I would suggest finding a middle ground here. So making an app that you're proud of, like a product that makes the world better, and also at the same time that you have a bigger chances of earning something from the app, because if you don't earn anything from your app, you're discouraged to continue working on it. What is future of iOS native developer? Where the future is probably uh, augmented reality and glasses and stuff like that. I'm sure that we will see that, and less usage will be on phones in the future, but more with just on your eyes in surroundings around you. So I think the Vision Pro is just like a small step into the future, but the future will probably look like we're all Iron Mans. At what point have you decided to go full time? I decided to go full time when I got a bit too frustrated with my full-time work, because it was stressful. So what I was working on was stressful, and I wanted to make a change. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe this is time to try it out and see how it goes. And if I would need to freelance in the meantime, I can freelance to see if my wife and I can have enough money to live without freelancing or with, and also with our savings. So when I wanted to quit my job, I thought to myself, let me try this first. And if it does not succeed, I will try freelancing also. If that's not good, I will go back to full-time job. So this is my thought, but I don't recommend it. So I don't recommend like quitting your job and that's it. Um, maybe the best way is if you already start freelancing on the side and you have some clients and you just expand. And for example, you freelance for half a time or 2/3 of time, and then you earn money and you like are not afraid of not getting revenue and stuff like that. And you also build yourself space in the week. So for example, half of the time for your own apps. But also if you have a full-time job, you can also take like only a few hours a day. And if it requires half a year or 1 year to build your MVP, it does not matter. The only thing that matters is that you start building and that you work on it. How do you manage UI UX part as a developer? So I don't work with any designer, so everything I do is designed by myself, except for the app icon. App icon was done by a professional. So how do I do it? I first do market research. So I look at the existing apps and see what they do good and what they don't do that well. I look at reviews from users also to see what are their pains with other apps, and I brainstorm how can I improve it. Then also I brainstorm all the possible things I can do with the app and how would I monetize it. And for MVP, I just pick the main features that are like essential. And for example, for item list, MVP was just that you can add items. So it was so stupid. You could not even search for items, even though it's like the main thing in the app that you can search for items, so you know where it is. But for MVP, it did not even have search. Search came like 2 or 3 weeks later. But if you release as early as possible, then you can get feedback much faster. So it's good to release as early as possible, maybe for my, if I would release item list again, I would take maybe 2 or 3 weeks more to just add search in it. But yeah, it should be as bare minimum. And then when I need to like design the app, I start by sketching on pen and paper. So I don't use Figma or Sketch to design the app before the layout, the UI, but I just create like wireframes and do low fidelity design, black and white on pen, on paper with pen, and that way I have an idea where everything needs to be. And then in code in SwiftUI, it's very easy just to change like colors and size of fonts and stuff like that. So it's easy to do that high fidelity design straight with SwiftUI. What's the biggest drawback of being an indie developer? It depends uh, regarding what we are talking about. So if you do it like me, then the biggest drawback at the beginning is the stress you face, because I did that cut from the job too early. So I don't think that's that smart. If you do it like more gradually, then the biggest drawback is maybe what I hear most from people, and sometimes I also miss it, is the lack of working with other people's. Like some people also get lonely. I did not get lonely because I have a lot of friends, but and I hang out with them, but it's also very fun to work with nice people during the day and to collaborate with others. So this is probably the biggest drawback. And a few months ago, I started working with a friend of mine. Like, so he has a full-time job, but he's freelancing for me for a few hours a week. And now I have a chance to work with someone, which is really nice. And I did not work with anyone else for 2 years, so I missed it a lot. Strategies for marketing and promoting in your apps, social media enough. So many people rely mostly on TikTok or Instagram Reels, and it's much more than enough for them. So yeah, it's really good. Um, Most of indie developers get most of their downloads organically on App Store search, so with ASO. And these are the two main strategies for indies. But if you, for example, get to a point where you have enough revenue to invest in ads, you can also look into that area, because it's a way to scale. So, for example, startups, they have like budget they get from venture capital, and that budget they spend by outsourcing marketing agency, which know how to market with ads, and they also have budget to uh, to to pay for the ads. And you need to have budget to pay for the ads, because those algorithms use AI and advanced algorithms to know which people to target with your ads. And you cannot just put 10 euros or dollars and the algorithm will realize everything. You need to have a lot of you need to pay for a lot of ads at the beginning, so the algorithm can learn from serving those ads to people and see which kind of people like it more and which kind of people like it less. And also you test out the different text copies, and you test different like graphics creatives, and it requires money to test it out, because you need to first pay for ads to test it out. So it's not easy for indies to do it with ads, but if you, for example, get to a place where you earn a few $1,000s monthly, then you also have kind of a budget to try out and test out ads. Could you suggest us how we can, as Indian students in last year of our BTech, take internships in Europe? Sorry, I don't know nothing about that. That's out of my domain. I'm sorry. After what amount of organic revenue should we start spending money on ads? So I talked a bit from on the last question about that. So you need to have enough money so you can get enough, pay for enough ads that algorithm can learn from those ads. So for example, I've seen that Google for app campaign, so for ads for apps, asks you to serve at least 50 ads per day. And 50 ads per day can be $50 or even more per day. So it's a lot on a monthly basis. And it says that it requires like month, 2 months to learn to tell you, hey, this kind of combinations of texts and video and images work the best. So you need to have like budget to optimize your ads. It can be that you are very lucky and you just start with $100 and it works from the beginning, but it's not that common. So you can try it out, but I think it's much safer if you do it when you have the budgets for it. What are the best ads tools to increase sales? I've seen people mostly use Meta ads, TikTok ads, and Google App Campaign. So, for example, Google App Campaign is specifically made for apps. Is Google and Apple signing options good enough? So, on iOS, you don't need to put Google sign in your app. So my app has only Apple, sign in with Apple, and it has also sign in with email. And more than 70% of people just use sign in with Apple. So make sure to put sign in with Apple to your app. So if you don't put it, you will probably lose a bunch of people because they don't want to put in their emails and passwords and everything. Let's say we have lifetime sub option, then due to loss, you close down the app. What happens to users? Well, this is the risk users need to take. It's not the lifetime of their life, it's lifetime of your app and their life. So their lifetime, for example, if they buy your app via App Store, is lifetime of their App Store account. And the lifetime of your app is how much it survives. So if they take an app for lifetime, it's kind of a gamble and a risk for them too. So that's why not everyone likes the lifetime option, but more people don't like the subscription option, and many people hate apps that have only subscriptions and they want to see the lifetime option. So it's good to put it in your app if you can. So it's harder to put it in your app, like to decide to put it in your app if you have high API costs. For example, if you use um, GPT API in your app because it costs a lot of money. But if you have an app like mine, where like API costs and database costs are really low, it makes a lot of sense. Do you recommend hiring marketing freelancers to increase sales? Yes, I do, but you need to also have budget for it, and you need to know which people you should hire. So I think it's a good idea. I'm looking forward to the moment that I can outsource my marketing to some agency or freelancer, because I would like to focus more on the product. But yeah, I think it's a good idea if you can afford it, of course. How do you deal with software licensing of using open source libraries or SDKs? So the only thing I do is that I add acknowledgements in my app. So on the bottom of settings, you can see all the licenses from all the open source libraries. So if you open my app in settings, you go to settings and you scroll down, you have at the bottom you have acknowledgements, and there is a list of all the open source SDKs, and if you tap on any, you should be able to see like the the how it's called, the licenses from the GitHub. TikTok is banned in India. Wait, so you cannot even install it. Wow, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks. There's probably workaround around that problem. I mean, TikTok is also really stupid in a way that if, for example, I want to target people from the US and I install TikTok, um, and I just push TikToks, I create TikToks and I push them. Uh, Basically, only people around me will see those TikToks. So it will not target people in the US. So for example, if I want to target people from the US, I need to have additional phone, which is only um, with turned off location, where I put in the App Store that my country is US and stuff like that. So TikTok is weird. Maybe there's also a way to like go around this ban in India for TikTok. I don't know, maybe VPN or something, and to have like another cheap phone where you can just publish TikToks. I guess there is a way because I know that also like Google services are banned in China, but people still use it by using VPN, for example. I wanted to leave job of teaching because I'm misfit in that. I am 36 and I want to switch to development. I know basic level web development, Flutter development. What you advise for me? This is more general like development job question, but I would advise to you to make your own projects and learn by doing that, and at the same time build a portfolio like that. And then if you want to find a job, people are going to be much more willing to give you a job if they see that you created like great apps. So just create web apps, mobile apps, whatever you would like to do, and that way you can show it. And also I recommend you to do what I told in this presentation, so building it public. That way you will build like personal reputation, like your branding, and at the same time you will meet much more people. And if someone is going to see your profile and this you say, okay, I'm looking for a job, then they will consider you much more than if you, for example, are unknown person without a degree, without previous experience, and without projects. So if you like have your own projects, you have like a good reputation in the community and everything, even without ever working in this field, you will have much more chance to get the first job. Is going indie viable when most of the apps generate less than yearly account fees? Yes, it's viable because uh, if if you create an app that is good, so it doesn't have to be great, it just needs to be good. So it works well, UX is good, it's like easy to use, and it does not crash. And if it's for a niche um, that is not super small, and if you monetize it, if you put like onboarding and paywall before everything else, so at the beginning of the usage of the app, after user downloads your app, they see onboarding and paywall, there is a big chance you will get enough for your Apple developer account fees like in few months. But if you build in public, you have much more chances, because that way you can get enough downloads and sales just from building in public. So I think it's a viable, and I don't think that this yearly fee is that much. Maybe if you're a student, but if you already have a salary that you basically can afford 100, I think, dollars, how it is. So I think it's viable. Most effective tools and technologies you find out for us app dev, tools and technologies. I mean, in general, I don't want to go too much into in generalized app dev technologies. I think I'm not like the best to talk about it because I don't focus like that much on that. I usually learn about it from others. But for indie iOS app devs, so I talked about technologies like um, App Store optimization tools, very important. So you kind of need those tools to work on App Store optimization. There's also like tools that help you put functionalities and superpowers to your app, like WishKit and RevenueCat. So tools like that are really good. And basically that's it. Most of the things you have in Xcode, and you have like open source libraries and stuff like that. You can use some tools to speed your development up, which are nice for iOS developers in general, but it's not that you really needed them. It's up to you if you like them. But yeah, for India developers, the most important tools that make you easier to build your app and launch it faster, to grow your app. So those are the most important tools for India iOS developers. How to find good app idea to build an app. I talked about this, and it's a good question, of course. I talked about this. So if you don't remember everything from the presentation, so you can scan this QR code, and there is a link to the presentation on this QR code. And also you can DM me on social media later if you have like specific questions that you don't want to ask here. What AI tools do you use to ship fast? Okay, I use Cloud for development lately. I sometimes, if it's not giving good answers, I switch to ChatGPT, and it works well. I don't use anything more than that. For me, it's okay. I have like two monitors and I can copy paste easily, so it's not a problem for me to do it. I don't need to have something super integrated into, for example, like people use integrated, how it's called, Cursor. Yeah, Cursor for web development, but I've heard that Cursor is not that good for iOS development, so I don't use it. But for marketing and everything else, I use mostly ChatGPT. ChatGPT to me is the best for brainstorming and writing like marketing texts or copy. So I use it a lot. Why Flutter for both iOS and Android, not React Native? Well, I don't know much about React Native, so I cannot talk about it. I'm sorry. So I say Flutter because I know a lot about it. I I worked with Flutter only for a few months, but it took me like 1 week to ship for production, and in 1 month I was like, I'm working forever in Flutter, and it's so easy and nice if you are just switching from iOS development. So I can only talk about it. But for React Native, I don't know anything about it, so I'm sorry. I don't want to I don't want to talk something that is probably wrong. Say something that's probably wrong. Making demanding apps based on ISO or making our own apps that solve some real problem does have any difference. Uh, I I recommend I recommend combining those two things. So my app, for example, solves some real problems. So a lot of people struggle to find their items. Like if you have ADHD, which means that your attention span is short and you often forget what you're doing in a day, then you just put something somewhere, like in a closet, wherever, and you forget where it is. And if you use an app like mine and you build like a habit that you um, build a habit that you write it down in the app, you can forget about it. You don't need to remember it because you can just open the app and then you can search for that item and you will see exactly, okay, it's this room, this closet, everything. So it solves real problem it's a huge problem for some people, and there are people who are really, really thankful that apps like that exist. But regarding SO, the market is not that big. So for example, right now my app ranks third on the US App Store, which is the biggest app store and the uh, most revenue spent in the US App Store. So it ranks third for home inventory keyword. It means if someone writes home inventory on US App Store, they will see my app third. But at the same time, it's so low popularity, it's a little bit more than 20, like 22, 23, that I don't get that much downloads just because of it. So if it was like 35, 40, 50, I would get like hundreds or thousands of downloads daily. But yeah, so I think finding something like that combines both is the perfect solution. So basically, people try to use and pay for apps that solve problems. So if you create an app that ranks for keyword but does not solve problems, that probably that app, even if people pay for it at the beginning, they will probably stop using it. So you should combine both of those things. Does Apple provide any development-based certification like iOS development SwiftUI? I don't think so, but I I'm not sure. Sorry. How do you fight the urge to jump onto a trend out of home instead of building a sustainable app? This is a good question. I mean, I'm building an app without any AI features, with all the hype around AI around me. It's not easy, but I think my main motivation is because I want to learn and not just. Okay, sorry. Sub question: do you have any certification? No, I don't have. I I finished master's degree in IT, and I finished like summer iOS Academy at Infinum. So the company organized it, and it was afterwards they gave me my first job in Croatia. But I don't have like certifications other than that. No. Okay, back to the question of FOMO around AI. I I'm more about uh, in these years I'm more focused on learning and about the experience of building a sustainable business than about making quick money, even though it's frustrating. So it's frustrating because like a year and a half after releasing my app, no, year and a half after starting working on my app, I made only around 400, $500. It's not that much for full time, not at all. So uh, it was very frustrating. Now that like revenue is climbing to a better place, now I'm of course happier, but still it's kind of frustrating. And if I made like 5 or 10 small AI apps from the beginning, I will probably make like 10 times or more revenue. So it really depends on you. I think it's not a bad idea to jump on the trend, especially if you need money, because you can always create another app. So if you don't create like a sustainable app that will like work in 10 years, make even more money than today, but you make something that probably is just a trend, that it's temporary, um, it's not a problem because it will give you like motivation, you will learn a lot and everything, so you will get a lot of benefits that way too. So it's good also to do it that way. I think both ways are good, depending on what you want to achieve and what are your like final goals. My final goal is to create a business where I work with people I like to work with, and we don't have stress, we don't have like sprints, we don't have frustrations of deadlines and everything, but we just work what we like to do, and that's it. Talking about indie, how iOS development differ from other Apple platforms like macOS, watchOS, tvOS. So I don't think there is much room to make money with watchOS or tvOS. Maybe some small apps sometimes succeed, but it's really uncommon. For macOS, it's really good. So for macOS, you mostly want to focus on like tools, utilities, something that would be, for example, useful for designers, for developers, and other people who use macOS. So there are other professions who use macOS, and if you can create like tools that help them out in their job, then it's really good. Especially why it's good, because you can publish your apps outside of the App Store, which is a huge win regarding the freedom what you can do. Because if you launch on the App Store, you always need to go through App Store review where they sometimes give you trouble because of like small things, and they're very inconsistent, stuff like that. But for macOS, if you have, for example, notarization or something, then it's not that bad. So you can also publish it on the App Store, but you can also publish it outside of the App Store, which gives you like more freedom in the end. And that is very, very important. That's one of the biggest like drawbacks about iOS development, that you're dependent on one platform. And by platform, I don't mean like device, but I mean that you're dependent on the store. So you need to have an account. Your account needs to survive, and you're dependent on Apple, that they will keep your account alive. So for example, if you do something bad, Apple can just ban you. And I don't think like banning forever is a good thing. Even if you do something bad, I don't think it's a good thing. I think people should have like a second chance if they like mess up just a small thing, which is really not that much of a big deal. For Apple it can be. So for macOS, you can also avoid that part. So it's also a good way. And also with macOS, it's sometimes easier to sell to tech people, because tech people use like utility tools for macOS. For finding new keywords with lower difficulty, I tried using LLMs, but they are not that effective for me, at least. Any recommendations? Yeah, my recommendation is to spend a bit money and take a monthly subscription with up figures. I know it's costly, but prepare for it. Know what you want to research. So, for example, do all the research you can without it, and then take monthly subscription and take your time in that month to do the keywords research. So there are many videos from app figures how to do great research with their tool. Also, they have blog posts, and it's really good because, for example, you can find competitors. For example, you find the list of apps that rank for some keyword, and you find, for example, top 5, and you can look at their keywords, and you can find the new keywords by looking at what keywords they use and what keywords they rank for. So you can get a lot of ideas which kind of keywords you can use, and it's a really amazing tool for keywords research. So that's something that I would recommend. And then when you know which keywords you would use, you can just take like a much cheaper subscription to Astro and track your rankings, because most of the time you just want to check the rankings if you know which keywords you should use. You can do like experimentations in a way that you change the order of keywords on the App Store, or you put a different keyword in your title and stuff like that. But if you already know which keywords to use, you don't need to do extra keyword research at that moment. Thank you very much for your words about answering patiently. Are there fully remote jobs if I live in a country which is like banned from everywhere? I don't know. Sorry, I don't know anything about this. Bundle of thanks, very helpful. Yeah, thank you for kind words. Makes sense. We'll start on my own journey. Yes, I recommend everyone who has any ambitions and wants to start as early as possible. So I repeat, scan the QR code, read the stuff in the presentation once more. I think also this is recorded, so it will be available online later. And yeah, start as early as possible. Are there any chances for developers in Afghanistan to have jobs like remote jobs? I don't know. I don't know. Sorry. Thanks, Venu, for nice words. Are there any chances for developers in Afghanistan? Okay, the same question, sorry. How to get recording of this meeting? Will we post it on LinkedIn developer group? Okay, I will also post the recording later on this QR code. So if you miss on the LinkedIn, just make sure to take a photo of this QR code or screenshot it. Thank you for nice words. Okay. Any more questions? I came to the end of the chat.
If anybody has a question, they can on the mic and they can ask.
Yes. Are you maybe interested in me showing you how RevenueCat looks like and maybe WishKit? So I can
Yes.
just show how it looks like. Okay, just a second. Okay, you can, if you did not, you can take a photo of this QR code now. And I don't think there are any more questions. If you have any more questions, just comment now. And if not, that's it. Okay. Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you for joining and thank you for staying with me.
Yep.
It was really a pleasure. It was really nice to talk about my journey and about things I learned. And thank you, Arjun, for organizing it. It was really nice.
So before the wrapping this session, thank you so much, Damjan, for making this session and make Saturday awesome. This is really great and give a insight on indie app journey. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining this session today.
Yeah, and thanks to Ratnesh also
Yeah.
for organizing.
Yep.
Okay.
So we request everyone to join our developer meetup link, and you can also share your thoughts and or your ideas or anything you want to discuss with other developer, and you can join on the our WhatsApp group also. Next. Yeah, so we will post on YouTube channel, so you can every session will available on YouTube.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Everyone can, if you want, you can scan the link tree and get our developer account, developer club links. Yeah, so we host every event. So thank you, MobileFirst, for sponsor, lifetime sponsor for offline event, and we are hosting every month. So join us and share your thought on our developer club. Also, you can give our yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you, Ratnesh, for joining as a volunteer and help me for make this session. Yeah. So everyone has a request to start your camera so we can take a group picture.